I built an almost 3-meter long guide rail for the circular saw using an old bookshelf and 2 aluminum L profiles. It's the best way to guarantee precise, straight and accurate cuts. Okay, roll intro.
Hi, I'm Eric, and this is my Land Rover Defender Expedition Camper. Not so long ago, I set off to discover the world and ended up in Iraq, where I spent 4 months in lockdown due to the pandemic, after which I returned home. And now, after months of waiting, it's time to restart the world trip. But first, I have to prepare the car for a journey of a lifetime. So welcome to Have Fun and Go.
In last week's video, I built the camper interior test setup with scrap cardboard. And now, let's start building. The car is completely empty again, and now I can start with measuring everything and begin with cutting all the wooden panels. Now, I'm gonna start with the bottom panel because I'm gonna work my way to the top. That's how you do it, right? And the bottom panel is also one of the easiest panels to create because it's just a big square. So, you know, start easy to get into the flow of woodworking. Yeah, so here we go.
No. Pretty Caroline, oh, 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 stone cold stunner. She was a winner, started working at the dime. Oh, 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 says it's on her mind to count your blessings, 'cause it's telling fast, put you down and leave you dead, don't make them scared. Yeah, it's the ugly truth. How they come back for you. Yeah, yeah, no.
Fits like a glove. I'm gonna use this little aluminum L profile to determine how far I can move the bottom panel to the back. Because, just a second, because first of all, if I move it to the back too far, I can't close the door, obviously. But second of all, underneath the bottom panel is ta-da! An inspection hatch for the fuel pump. So I need to cut out a circle so I can access the inspection hatch. And to do so, I'm gonna use a little push pin. And I'm gonna put it exactly in the middle of the inspection hatch. Like so. And now I'm going to move the bottom panel against the aluminum L profile. I'm gonna push it down on top of the push pin, and that's how I determine the exact center location of the inspection hatch. And after that I can cut out a perfect circle. All right, check it out. Where is it? There it is. I pre-cut the plywood using a craft knife to prevent the wood from splintering. This severs the fiber, so when the saw blade cuts, the plywood won't splinter. I also used masking tape to prevent any tearing. This panel is going to stay in the car for now, but I'm going to take it out because I want to give it a paint job just to give it an extra layer of protection. Alright,
This panel is going to be a bit of a challenge because I'm going to build it using one piece of plywood, and you know, there is a piece of metal sticking out over here. There are wires, and another piece of metal is sticking out over there, and it gets a bit wider, and then I'm done with measuring everything. This is the end result, and as you can see, there is a L shape, and the first thing I'm going to do is cut out this L shape. Here it is, the L for love. Then I'm going to put it back inside the car, and I can focus on all the corners and things I have to cut out. This, for example, is 33.567. Got a pizza box and wrote down all the dimensions of this weird thing over here, and now I'm going to use this. Go away. So I made a cardboard cutout. Now let's find out if it fits.
Yay! And after some fun with the jigsaw, I can slide the panel into the back of the Defender.
The left panel, the L-shaped panel, is cut to the right size. I had to remove some wood over here, as you can see. Otherwise, the door wouldn't close. So I fixed that. And all the way in the back, I drilled a little hole for the wires, but I got a little bit excited, so I drilled the hole on the wrong side, as you can see. But because that's what I eventually going to do, if I take a little L profile, you know, it's there it is, and now it's gone. So nobody knows it's there, except for you and me, so if you don't tell anyone, we don't have a problem. So now let me show you what will happen if I close the door. It's a perfect fit, and there's actually, because I was afraid it wouldn't fit anymore, but the L profile, there's actually room for it, so that's perfect. All right, so we can cross that off our list. And now it's time for the most interesting part of the build, which is the storage. I'm going to create 3 different storage compartments which are accessible via the top. So I have to create an opening here, here, and here.
And for that, I first have to determine the exact size of each storage compartment, which means I have to do a lot of measuring. I use this paint can to create the round edges, which just happens to be the perfect size for the corners. And this is what the result of a couple of hours of measuring and drawing looks like. Next up is creating the round edges with a hole saw bit, 12 of them. Now I can remove the rest of the wood with the circular saw.
just look at the end result. That's pretty awesome. I've never built something like this, and I think it worked out great. Check it out. That's nice, right?
And inside the car, it looks even better. To build the compartment's lids, I will use some of the old panels from the previous build. I just have to find the right one that matches the size of the opening. And after a lot of cutting, sanding, the occasional mistake, more cutting, sanding, I got it right. And after some sanding and cleaning, it's time for a paint job. As I said earlier, I also painted the floor panel.
Here it is. That's it.
And that's also it for today. In next week's video, I will continue with the Defender camper build. For now, thank you for watching.
That already looks pretty cool, right? Oh, there's so much to do.